I have approximately 90 minutes to repot 5 of these rare Anthurium before my husband gets home. Can I do it? Well, let's find out. For starters, like all of these Anthurium, my husband is also from Colombia, and if there is one thing you should know about Colombians is that they are never on time. So, when Alejandro says he'll be back in an hour and a half, that's more like 3 to 4 hours. But just to time ourselves and to give ourselves a little challenge, we're going to put 90 minutes on the clock. All right. So first things first, we are going to start with my Queen Anthurium. My Queen Anthurium that I repotted a couple of months back. Well, not so much repotted, but actually potted up, because when I got this as a top leaf cutting, it only had 2 leaves, a nice one and a little mangy one with a growth point. And so what that was growing in was perlite, just perlite. So I needed to put it in some medium, which I did, made it a nice airy mix like the queens like, and it had started growing like crazy, mostly because these plants love to have breathable space. I mean, just take a look at that mixture right there. That's just really nice. And since then, it has grown some really, really lovely roots. Those roots, though, are running out of space. And I know that because right here on the top layer, as you can see, the roots are starting to grow around the moss that I put up on top. Also, this is a big concern right here. So this was a beautiful, and I mean stunning leaf when it came out. Up until this new leaf started popping out, what happened was it needed to start being watered about 2 to 3 times a week. Now, keep in mind, in the northern hemisphere, I'm in Denver, Colorado. This time of year, it's summertime. And so the plants are drying out faster than normal, and it's just running out of space. And because of that, it needs it needs a larger pot. And as it was running out of space, the plant was taking energy from the older leaf and transferring it to the newer leaf. So another reason why this can happen, by the way, is a drop in temperature fluctuation, or a drop in humidity. I know that's not the case here in my urban jungle because my humidifiers are running nonstop. And this baby gets around 70 to sometimes at night, upwards of 90% humidity, which it loves. So before we repot it, we're going to do one thing. We are going to grab these shears and we're going to cut around this part of the leaf. Because one of the things I love about styling with plants, especially Anthurium, is the aesthetic look. And so, what's nice about Anthurium and other plants is if you don't cut directly into the green parts, the healthy part of the leaf, you can trim around and it won't cause any damage to the plant. So, what I'm going to do is just carefully cut around here and just leave a little bit of brown so it won't have this nasty looking area anymore. I'm just very much into the look and feel of it, and it saddened me so much when I saw the queen like this. So, yeah, what you'll want to do is take a very clean, nice pair of shears. I've had this one dipped in 70% isopropyl alcohol for 24 hours, and then you just cut around there, and boom, already looks nicer. So we are going to repot it. And what we're going to do is just upscale the pot size. So I believe this is 6 inches. Yeah, 6 inches is where we're at. And what we're going to do is we're going to move it into 8 inches. No, yeah, 6 inches. This is 10 inches. God, I don't even know how to size things up 10 inches. We're going to move it into 12 inches, a wider pot. And now, one of the things, too, and this is a really, really important thing, when it comes to Anthurium, like your Queen Anthurium or my big King Anthurium, which, by the way, if you haven't caught the episode where I just repotted that monster of beast plant. You should check it out. It's up here in the corner, but not right now. Get to it later on. That was a monster repotting. That thing took forever to do, and it was a nightmare. But what is interesting about like the king and the queen is that if you want to get the massive leaves like I have on my king, you need to put it into a larger pot. Now, a lot of people say Anthurium like to be root bound and just kind of in smaller pots. And while that is true for like your Anthurium crystallinum and your smaller ones that are, velvety leaf, when it comes to the king queen, if you want them to have really massive leaves, give them larger pots. I mean, not like super duper extra large. It's not like we go from like 8 inches to, 2 feet, 10 gallons. That would just be insane. But the moment I repotted my king anthurium just recently, as soon as I did that, within 24 hours, all of a sudden, it started shooting out new leaves back to back. It already grew 3 brand new leaves, and in the last 2 weeks, it's already showing signs of 2 more new leaves coming out. It's because that plant had been in the same size pot for a year. And when I repotted it the first time and put it into a larger pot, man, oh man, did it explode in size. I mean, it went from like a 10-inch plant to its longest leaf being 33 inches. Now, when it comes to the Queen Anthurium here, our lovely, lovely Queen Anthurium, did you know that leaves can grow up to be 4 feet long? That's right, 4 feet long indoors. Right now, this leaf, the older leaf, is 20 inches. The new leaf, 21 inches. So with this new growth point coming out, that one will probably be about 22, 23 inches, especially after we repot it and give it a larger size. Another thing that we need to do is because this plant now has aerial roots growing out of its side, we're going to give it a moss pole so it can climb up. Because in nature, Queen Anthurium, they climb up trees. Yeah. And so that's what we're going to do. But first, I forgot the moss pole over in the kitchen. 1 second. Okay, so the pole has been collected. Oh, and let me correct myself. It is not a moss pole. It is a cocoa choir pole. And the reason why I remember this now is because there's this viewer, and I don't know if that person is watching right now, but they blew up on me for calling this a moss pole. And it was an accident, They're like, basically like, you idiot. Okay, calm down, all right? You make mistakes. So anyways, this cocoa choir pole is what we're going to use because of those aerial roots. So because this top layer cutting, when I got it back in April, I think, was growing in just perlite, I made the medium that it's in like a chunky aroid soil mix. And if you're curious to know what a chunky aroid soil mix is, just click on the link up in the corner. I have a really great breakdown on it. Aroid plants, Araceae family plants like your Anthurium, Monstera, Philodendron, etc., Alocasia, they love it because it's a good chunky mix that is breathable and movable for all of their big roots. Anthurium have really thick roots, as you saw there. And so they want to move through. They don't want something that's dense, compact, blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to make this one heavy in perlite because this baby's used to perlite. And what we're going to do is we're going to move this over further. I really need to hurry up to the timing in the corner. Alejandro told me, as some of you will recall, in a couple episodes back, that he wants me to repot underneath the stairs. Yeah, right. And so I don't care, and I repot in the living room. Like when I repotted my King Anthurium recently, and you guys remember what happened as I filled up the new pot with soil and then packed it over? You guys look, and oh my god! And Alejandro is upstairs right now, and he's not going to be happy with me, but this plant comes first. Yeah, he wasn't too happy about that, but I don't care. It's my favorite plant. Okay, so we're going to move this baby into this pot here. Okay, Variant Bessie Eye, you go over hither, good friend, for now. And then Queen will go here. Oh my gosh. Watch, what's gonna happen is I'm going to knock it over. I shouldn't even joke around about that. Okay. Go chair, get out of the way. Jeez Louise. How much time we got on the clock? We doing okay? Okay. Remember Colombian time. Okay, so now we're just gonna take and tune a little bass player. And what we need to do is we need to put in our pole first before we put in our queen. And that's important because we don't want to damage the roots. So what I really want to do is, okay, why do I have my clear thing of water over here as I'm about to repot next to it? Get soil all in it. Okay. Piece of spades, spaghetti eye slash Zara Michelle slash something. Okay. So, ooh, I think what I'm going to do, because I have a million of these little plastic pots, is I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut around it without hurting any of the roots. So let's see. I did this with the King Anthurium repot, by the way, and I needed to, well, I needed to because that thing was so root bound that it literally, I couldn't even squeeze it out of the pot. I mean, those thick roots were latched onto the side. And so I just used shears and ripped that baby open. And honestly, that is probably the best route for, ooh, yeah. There we go. I mean, I got these plastic pots on Amazon for like, I don't know, maybe 20 of them for $6. So why not? Okay, so what I want to do, throw that into the bin, is just kind of gently loosen up its roots just so it has space. Look at those roots, by the way. Hey, fantastico. Oh man, when I first got this baby, and you can see in the video, and I went to go pot it up in its first pot with soil, this plant did not have a ton of roots. I mean, they were nice roots, but man, oh man, they did not look like this. That's beautiful. Nice job, Kevin. You finally figured out how to grow a Queen Anthurium, and all it took was a lot of stress. This is considered, by the way, one of the most difficult Anthurium to grow. And man, oh man, I really wanted to master this, and so far I'm doing okay with it. And I want it to get as big as the king. That is my goal, and I will accomplish that goal. I know I will, because when it comes to plants, I will stop at nothing. By the way, if you own Queen Anthurium, let me know in the comments what is your trick, or if you have any advice on kind of how to get them to thrive or what you've been doing, because I'm always curious about your tips and tricks. High humidity is very important for these plants. Making sure that they have really good airflow is important for these plants. So those things are absolutely crucial for them to thrive. Okay, so we have since moved into the kitchen, and there is a reason why. I really wanted to break apart this soil that's still left on here. And the easiest way to do that is to put it in water, and that will help loosen it up. And it's making good progress so far, but I really want to make sure that it's going to just kind of get all of this old moss off of there and some of this old perlite. Now, when I was repotting it over at the kitchen table, I did keep a lot of its old soil because the soil's still good. And when transplanting the plant, it will recognize that soil and feel more at home, which is good. By the way, if you're wondering whether or not there is a giant Monstera constellation in my kitchen all the time, the answer is no. That is just got them being watered. By the way, that is the cutting that I did a video on, an episode on, when I water propagated my Monstera Thai constellation. You can watch that up in the corner right now too. And it's doing well. In fact, it's actually over my shoulder. Got a brand new leaf coming in. I'm so happy. I'm so happy for it. But yeah, we're just going to continue to break this apart. And by the way, this is another important thing to know about Anthurium. You will want to, even when breaking apart the soil like I am here, use filtered water. Use filtered water or distilled water when watering them, when having humidifiers around them, because they are finicky. And if you don't use it, and if you use tap water, they'll get spots on them and it'll just look nasty. So always use filtered water. And the water that I have inside of here that I'm using to break things apart is filtered water. Okay, so basically, forever. And as you can hear in the kitchen, the 90 minutes is up. It was more like 120 minutes, like I said. My husband is home, and I did not only fail to get all five done on time, but not even the queen because it took forever. Its roots are just caught up in this sphagnum moss, and so I did get it to a point though where I can get the where I can get the cocoa choir pole for that viewer who gets mad at me for saying moss bowl through it without disrupting the roots. And so notice how, by the way, I said 120 minutes instead of 90 minutes. Because, like I was telling you, Colombians are never on time and they have their own time. Yeah, he goes, he's in the kitchen right now and he goes, he knows it's true. Okay, so what we're going to do is, oh man, still though, and it's really just kind of this layering over here. And I know, by the way, it doesn't matter if you, while repotting the queen, if you do it perfectly or if it's a little bit challenging. The Queen Anthurium is going to throw a fit once it is potted up in this new pot. That's because they are incredibly finicky plants, and that is why they are one of the most challenging Anthuriums to grow. In fact, many people say it is the most difficult Anthurium to grow. I'm curious to know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know for you Anthurium growers. I mean, in my Anthurium experience, I would say so far it is hands down the most challenging Anthurium that I've experienced. And the king, one of the easiest, hands down. So, I think through this sphagnum moss. Oh, there we go. Yes, okay. I have a little opening here. Just want to make it a little bit more. And the reason, by the way, and this is another tip for anybody looking to grow Anthurium, why you'll notice sphagnum moss on the top of all of my Anthurium is because it helps retain the humidity that these plants love so much. And also, like you saw here with the queen, is that its roots, when it doesn't have really a lot of space left in its pot to go through, it'll start sending its roots up through the sphagnum moss. Which, by the way, I totally forgot to take a brick of sphagnum moss and create some new ones for this new layer, but I'll do that afterwards. So, yes. I think we have it right there. And it needs to be right there too because we have its aerial roots right over here. So, yep. Let's see. Can I get this in without? Yeah. Yeah, baby. There we go. Sweet. Okay. So now, just want to gently put this baby in hither, like so, with its roots. Yes. That is perfect. Okay. So now that we have it in there, what we're going to do is we are going to take the rest of the soil and we are going to just fill in the blank spots and cover up those roots that were once in the sphagnum moss. And we'll put a layer of sphagnum moss back on there, which is crucial for these babies. But yeah, it was interesting because it was, gosh, oh man, probably 2 months ago when we started to notice that this plant was growing aerial roots. And at the time, even though I know a ton about Anthurium, I did not realize the fact that this plant needs a climbing pole. And so I started watching some YouTube videos about it and doing some research. And sure enough, it does need a climbing pole. But I'm really curious to see what it would look like without a climbing pole. Probably just go bananas and berserk all over the place. So, oh, this is such a nice chunky mix. I'm glad that it's going to get be in this mix because I did put a little bit too much sphagnum moss, I feel, in the last one, and so it was kind of going throughout the plant. Let's see. That's great. I believe it is. Cool. Okay. Just push some little bit of soil down hither. Yeah, that's perfecto. Look at that. Wow. Nice job, Kevin. Keep up the good work. Thanks. Oh, man. Okay. So now we just need to top layer it and give it an old watering with filtered water, like I said. And what we're going to do, by the way, is that now that it's on a Cocoa Choir pole, oh my gosh, that viewer, and I can see its aerial roots over there, I'm going to use some really easy plant tape because, oh man, with a lot of my climbing plants on poles, I've been using zip ties because it really helps just kind of hold them down, but not with the queen because you don't want to put it on too tightly. You just want something that's going to hug it. And this elastic Velcro stuff would be perfect. So let me cut this little area here. Now, what can I expect now that the queen has been repotted? I can expect probably this leaf to start dying off immediately, that leaf to start looking like it's damaged, and a lot of drama, because that's what Queen Anthurium love, drama. Yeah, I hear Alejandro making some noise in there because I'm sure he's thinking to himself, speaking of drama, Kevin. So, okay, now that we have the elastic on there, we are good to go. You know, every time I say that, something always goes terribly wrong with my plants. So fingers crossed that nothing bad happens, and I should learn not to say that. So, did I repot all 5 rare Anthurium in 90 minutes? No, of course not. I got distracted talking with you guys and talking about the plants, and then Alejandro came home, made dinner. I was hungry, and so I didn't finish until the next morning. I had like one or two left to go. But the good news is they're all repotted now. And so they're doing super well, by the way. It's been 4 days since this has happened. And take a look at the queen. Honestly, I thought she was going to like peel over, just have a fit. But she's doing super well in her new pot. And she definitely needed it. So on top of her, I also repotted my Anthurium Bessier, my Anthurium Michelle, made by Doc Block, my Anthurium Forgetty Eye Ace of Spades, crossed with a Zara Michelle, which I always jokingly think is like Sarah Michelle Gellar, so I always call it Zara Michelle. You know, maybe it's just me. Oh, and then I also repotted my Anthurium Magnificum crossed with a silver blush. That plant, I really like it, but I'm just a little bit confused by it because every time it grows a new leaf, it's so sensitive that any little bit of water that gets on it, all of a sudden the leaf starts to get all weird looking. Anyways, I love Anthurium Magnificum though. Take a look at my regular one. I'm not quite sure why I just refer to it as my regular one. That's actually kind of offensive towards the hybrid, so I apologize. But this is my original Anthurium Magnificum, and it is actually, I think, the oldest and longest Anthurium that I've owned. And it was the first one that I got. And back then, like I was telling you guys before, I didn't know how to care for Anthurium. And so, fortunately, this one isn't as fussy as the others because I didn't have a humidifier. And I just didn't really know how to care for them. And so, this one shot out its first leaf shortly after I got it. And it was just a small little leaf, but I was so excited about it. And that was probably about, I don't know, 5 to 6 inches long. Now this leaf is 19 inches long is its length. I don't know its width though. I haven't measured it. But I love this plant so much. And when I first got it and I didn't know how to care for it and I just saw its leaves dying off one after another, I took the plant. This is so embarrassing to admit, but I took the plant and its pot and I hid it underneath my bed. And it was under there for like 2 months. I didn't water it and I was considering just throwing it on, like, well, this thing's trash anyways. And then out of nowhere, I was having this really awful day, and a new leaf just started to shoot out of it. And that's when I started to learn and understand and appreciate Anthurium. Because the only piece of trash in that situation was me for wanting to throw it out. But yeah, I appreciate you guys so much for watching another one of my planting videos. And if you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell for more fun and interesting planting content just like this. By the way, if you're a big fan of Anthurium, like I am now, I highly suggest that you click on this video up in the corner because those are some of my best Anthurium care tip secrets, especially when it comes to wanting to know how to get those velvety leaves to shine so bright. I'll see you guys in the next video.